Now let's go to New York City. The governor speaking live.
We have offered to take some additional diesel-operated trains out of operation in Connecticut and lend them to the larger system if that would allow for additional traffic up and down the system. And we've made that offer. That's a Connecticut offer to the folks in New York to see whether that would be of any assistance. I've also raised the issue that communications are vitally important. This incident happened early in the morning. We didn't receive immediate notification. I have stressed that we need immediate notification when there are failures in the system so we can quite frankly tell people to stay home and not drive to the station. And we are promised better protocols with respect to communications out of New York to Connecticut so we can head off some of those problems. And then finally, I have reiterated that under the circumstances, this not being a weather condition, and the prospect of this going on and disrupting service for a period of time, that they need to speak to a refund policy with respect to this particular disruption. This is not an act of God as we normally treat weather conditions. This is a failure for one reason or another of the system. I don't know why or who or what conditions are responsible for it, but I have 125,000 people whose lives are being disrupted because of that failure, and I believe that they need to be reimbursed in some way at some time with respect to that disruption in service. With that, I'm happy to take your questions. Yes. Well, we're an outside date of the 14th. I believe that date will move to the 7th sooner than later. And we are, I think what is new is that we are, that they're trying to get partial service, electric service restored. That is a new development since yesterday. We weren't having those conversations yesterday. Finding a potential source to partially feed the system is a new development.
Governor, what does that entail?
There appears to have been little plan for this type of catastrophic failure. The outside dates correspond both to when they thought the system that had been taken down voluntarily would be up and running again. They assure me that it is also what the average time of replacing a system like this would be under emergency circumstances. These are extraordinary circumstances, and I've indicated to them that normal reaction time is not sufficient. I'm trying to give you the best update I can give you as the moment. I don't have any power to do this myself, but I did travel here to bring this message. Yes? Partial restoration?
Yeah.
The question is, with the additional voltage that they can feed in, which will be substantially less than the normal voltage, how many trains could you have on that basically that four-town, four-station stretch at a time? Can you run one train? Can you run more than one train? Can you run a train in each direction? Those are questions that can only be answered in a testing period. That's why I'm hopeful that they'll have that connection made on a partial feed basis on Saturday, so that any testing that's required could take place on Saturday and/or Sunday, so that we could speak to the customers in very detailed ways about what service on a through basis will be available.
Where would that power come from?
That would come from, 3 transformers that are being brought in and would feed the system. But it's let me be very clear. We're talking about 13,000 kilowatts versus the normal in excess of 100,000 kilowatts. So that's kind of the difference that we're talking about. It's quite a big magnitude. Yes. I did meet. I'm sorry, I should have pointed out to you. I also met with 2 representatives of Con Ed, and we had the reason I was out here late is, quite frankly, I was pushing them pretty hard. Yep.
And how did you get here today?
Not by train. Okay.
How bad was it?
You know, I have to say, and I should thank the people of Connecticut. I think they've heeded our warnings, and I certainly should say that everyone who can stay away from New York City tomorrow would probably be well advised. As people know, this is Clinton week, this is UN week, this is town's been a mess to begin with. This has contributed that much more to the problem. I'm hopeful that they'll have a better alternative system, and we'll know what the capacity of that system will be in time to inform people by Sunday night, so they can make decisions with respect to Monday. If you decide to drive in the city, for God's sake, don't drive a single car. You know, there are enough people up and down the roads and at other places that figure out a neighbor who you can give a ride to or get a ride to. The same assurances I received that it would never happen. There are no assurances. What I have stressed is that they need to learn from this experience. I have specifically asked, I want to be very clear, I specifically asked whether the long-term relying on one delivery system of this amount of energy contributed to the failure. They can't answer that now, but that is a question that absolutely has to be answered, because this transference and this upgrade is going to be ongoing in New York and in Connecticut. And we better learn every lesson that we can possibly learn from what happened here. I will tell you, I suspect that long-term reliance on a single circuit did contribute. And therefore, going forward, we better have an additional line in before we take a line out. That was a reliance on MTA, Metro North, and quite frankly, Con Ed. I mean, Con Ed can't do this without permission from somebody. I'm not an electrician, but relying where you normally have two systems of delivery and relying on a single system of delivery for a prolonged period of time, and then having this kind of thing happen, it's got to be 50-50 that this is a contributing factor. We won't know until additional work is done. But I want to be very clear. This has to be done up and down the system. So we better learn every possible lesson from this failure that we can possibly learn, or let's put it another way. A reoccurrence of this anywhere in the future is totally unacceptable. Yes. My office, we've been in contact back and forth. I personally have not talked to the governor about this. We informed the governor, for instance, that I was coming. We are cooperating on trying to clear roads up and down our joint systems of roads as quickly as possible. As you know, we have suspended all work on our highway system serving the area. So a lot of communications on the transportation side and between chiefs of staff. Yeah, yes. Well, I'm neither here to endorse what they've done in the past and to pre-condemn them. This is the busiest line. Metro North is the busiest line. It represents 125,000 of our residents. We are in the process of upgrading the line. I don't think enough money has been spent on the line over a long period of time. My administration is trying to spend as much money on the line as can be accommodated by actual actions, including replacement of all of the old M7 cars with new cars that we're taking delivery on a monthly basis. Last question. Yep. I think they know that I'm serious, and I think that they're going to present me a plan to bring that about. If they don't, we'll look at legal action. As best as I can tell, they thought that a single feed was sufficient. And in point of fact, it may be proven that that was sufficient for a day or 2 days or a number of days or a number of weeks. But I will be surprised to find out if there's not some relationship between the two realities. Okay? Thank you all very much.
Set the stage here. Governor Malloy meeting with Con Ed today. They've come up with a way to trickle some juice into the line, about a tenth of normal electricity. The question is, how many electric trains can they run? They're going to test it over the weekend. There should be an idea of what kind of schedule by Sunday night for commuters on Monday morning.
And they are in the process, as the governor mentioned, of upgrading the systems so that they can have a plan in place so that this doesn't happen